So, today I will be explaining selective permeability, which is a biological process that cells use regarding their cell membranes on what comes into and out of a cell. So, selective means to choose carefully. So, if you had a multiple choice quiz, you would likely want to carefully choose your answers to get the best grade possible. Now, permeable means allowing something through something else. With cells, it will be liquids, chemical/molecules, or gases. So, diffusion is how things get into and out of a cell, and passively it goes from high concentration to low concentration. So, if, for example, you were in a class of 28 students and you all moved into the auditorium, which only had 3 kids in it, it would be going from an area of high concentration to low concentration. Now, with cells, they will always try to maintain an equilibrium or a balance. So, as you can see, there's a high concentration of these blue dots on the outside, low amount on the inside, and this is the cell membrane. And over time, it will want to create equality on both sides. So, this is a cell. This is obviously an animal cell because it doesn't have a cell wall. And in all pictures, this is the cell membrane and it looks like it's closed off, but it actually has little holes to let things into and out of the cell. And if it was active transport, it would obviously require energy and it would likely move against a concentration gradient going from low to high concentration, and it would have these special big proteins that would go here. But we will speak of passive transport when it comes to selective permeability today. This is an example of what the actual cell membrane looks like. It has a phospholipid bilayer, bi meaning two. So if you had a bicycle, it would have 2 wheels. This has 2 layers. Now, hydro just means water. So then phobic means scared of or hate. So think of phobia. So arachnophobia. If you have arachnophobia, you hate or are scared of spiders. So these tails will want to get farther away from water as possible. The inside and outside of a cell is technically wet. So that's why the hydrophilic heads, philic means to love, would want to be as close to water as possible, and the tails that hate water would want to be as far away from water as possible. So this, once again, passive transport and selective permeability, these are the types of things that the cell membrane would not want to go through it. Things that are very, very big in charge. So sodium ATP, which is the energy in all of our cells, glucose, protein, starches. Now, what the cell would want to let through, because it is selective, it chooses wisely on what it wants through. Things like oxygen, carbon dioxide, drugs, small hydrophobic molecules will pretty much rush in, hence the big, thick arrow. Now, the skinny, thin arrow, small hydrophilic molecules like water and urea, it will let through, but not in abundance as it would these. But think of it as a coffee filter, and you're making coffee. This coffee filter is the selective permeable membrane. It won't let these coffee grounds through because they're simply just too big. What it will let through is like the pigment, the flavor, the caffeine, and the water, but not the coffee grounds. They're just too big. Now, these molecules are technically the same in size, but you can see that this cell is not letting in these blue molecules, likely because they are charged different. Just because they're the same size does not mean they are the same. They're not the same thing because this membrane is being choosy in which molecules it wants to go in, regardless if they're the same size. So, this would be the same thing as if this is you and this is your house. You would want to be wise on who you let into your house. The door and this wall serve as the membrane. Now, this is your mom. Say your mom wants to come into your house. You trust your mom. You have good chemistry with your mom. You would likely let her in. Now, if there was a random person that was a stranger or a robber, you would not let them in your house because you guys do not have chemistry. You don't know each other. You don't want him in your house. Just because your mom, you, and this robber are all people does not mean that you all get to enter this home. Same thing with the cells. Not everything gets to go through, regardless if they're the same size or the same thing, because they're charged differently. And it also can be based off of how big or small the particles are.